to another gathering of the Gold Key Adventurers Society. Have a seat by the fire as we prepare to help you unlock the secrets of the travel life. From theme park thrills to Purple Mountain's majesty, we want to see it all and do it all, and we want to help you do the same. We all have those bucket list trips, once-in-a-lifetime destinations that we'll get to someday. We're here to help you make your travel dreams a reality. Buy the ticket, take the trip. Where do you want to go?
Come on, now tell me what's on your bucket list. Okay, hey, it's a beautiful day. Okay, hey, it's a beautiful day.
The meeting of the Gold Key Adventurers Society. My name is Dan Leonard.
Hi, Dan.
And joining me this week in the studio is Heather Strait.
Hello.
And Mr. Jeff Williams.
Hey, that's me.
It sure is. Our show, as always, is brought to you by Key to the World Travel. Key to the World Travel is a full-service travel agency specializing in theme parks, cruising, destinations around the world. Head to www.keytotheworldtravel.com for more details and a no-obligation quote on the vacation of a lifetime. So, you've been to Walt Disney World or Disneyland a few times. Maybe you've even... Just a few.
Just once or twice.
Maybe you've thought about branching out and taking a cruise on Disney Cruise Line or visited Aulani Resort in Hawaii. What is the next step for a globe-trotting Disney fan much like yourself?
That's a great question, Dan.
I'm going to guess Adventures by Disney.
That's right. We'd
Ding,
love
ding,
to
ding.
suggest that you take an expedition with Adventures by Disney. These guided immersive tours allow you to explore the world while enjoying the special brand of hospitality and storytelling that you've come to love on other Disney vacations. This week, we're going to give you the lowdown on what an Adventures by Disney trip is all about, starting with, what is Adventures by Disney?
What is it, Dan? Tell us.
What is it,
Is
Dan?
it?
Does Mickey Mouse go to Europe with you?
Absolutely not. This is guided tour groups by Disney, but without all of the cartoon. I mean, I guess there's occasionally a little bit of cartooniness, but that's mostly for the kids. It's really just a high.
It's touring with all the customer service expertise that Disney's known for.
Yeah, the customer service, the storytelling, the attention to detail. Hospitality, like I said, it's really a different experience for most guided tour groups.
It's really making the entire world accessible for families. There are adult exclusive departures, which we will talk about, but the biggest difference for me is how much it makes visiting places all around the globe so easy and so accessible for families. If you want to start traveling with your kids to places outside the U.S. when they're younger, which I think it's great. I think it's the best thing to do. My kids started traveling outside the U.S. when they were babies. And it's hard to do that when you have younger kids or a big group, multi-generational group.
And don't live in Europe.
Yeah, or on your own. It's tough. But they make it so easy for everyone in the entire family to have a great time everywhere they go.
And the other thing that they do is they really work on giving you an authentic experience of the place and the people that you're visiting. I've only been on one guided group tour, and that was many, many years ago. But you're not going to be, there's no like corporate partnerships here. It's like you're not going to go to France and be taken to a perfumery by a company that the tour group operator happens to work with. You're not going to go to Switzerland and visit the Swatch store.
Yes.
Well, you can on your own time, but they're not going to drag you there and make you listen to nonsense.
The couple that I've done that drove me nuts, or one was in Turkey and one was in Egypt. And we spent half the excursion in a rug factory listening to like really hard sales pitch on very, very, very expensive silk rugs that honestly nobody on this group was there on this vacation wanting to buy a $20,000 Persian rug.
Right.
I mean, they're very beautiful, and it was very interesting watching some of them be woven, but it was a hard sell and it was not fun. And the tour group got a kickback for any that people bought. Yep. And that happens a lot on those trips.
If you visit that factory with Adventures by Disney, you're not getting that hard sell. Nope. You're very likely going to be, they're going to teach you about the symbolism of the patterns and what they mean. And then they're probably going to give you a chance to get your hands on and try the craft of weaving the rug.
And they usually leave there with a little something free or included.
Right.
Like we've been to chocolate factories and weaving things and all sorts of little places where they make things that are popular in that culture, and you leave there with something. You're not sold.
Yeah, a lot of them. There's a lot of cooking, hands-on lessons, learning traditional things, traditional arts and crafts, Spanish mosaics, and you bring home a custom-made tile and all kinds of stuff. So, another big difference from other guided tours, and this is one that is really one of their big standouts that they're very proud of, is the guides themselves, the adventure guides with Adventures by Disney.
The guides are extraordinary and really make the trip. You have, if you're on a traditional land guided tour with Disney, you'll have 2 adventure guides and a local guide. But then when you're on some of their other trips like expedition or river cruising, you're going to have 5 to 6 adventure guides along with local guides. And the best part is that there's always one guide who's kind of in charge of the junior adventurers, the kids. And there's so many opportunities that they offer the kids that the adults wouldn't be interested in. The adults are doing things that maybe will bore the kids. There's an adventure guide who's taking the kids and giving them an experience that they'll have fun with.
Speak for yourself. Yeah. I kind of want to go play hide and seek in an ancient Scottish castle or something.
No, this is true. When we did England and France, we were at the Louvre, and the adults were with the local guide, and the kids were doing a scavenger hunt. And I kind of wanted to do the scavenger hunt with the children because it looked really fun. And the Louvre, I've been to the Louvre, and it's not.
I do not recommend it.
I don't know. I don't love it. It's not my favorite place in Paris. And we were there in the summer when it's hot. But the local guide was very knowledgeable and definitely took the group to all the highlights that you would want to see if you were going there for your only time. That's a
confusing place to navigate on your own.
So it really is.
She did do a great job at, here's Mona Lisa, here's blah, blah. Here's 1,000 paintings of Jesus Christ.
Yes. In one room.
Yeah. So beyond being, they really are experts on the place that you're visiting, but they also pay really close attention to your needs and what the group needs, what each individual person needs, and what will make the trip perfect for you so that you don't have to worry about anything and you're taken care of.
Oh, yeah. They are so well planned. With that stuff we were doing a behind the scenes kind of tour of Disneyland, Disney California Adventure. And I had no sooner thought to myself, I'm thirsty, that our guide Christian walked up behind me and handed me a water along with every one of the other waters. Just before you even think you need a thing, they've got it right there for you. And it's not unorganized at exactly this time we'll have liquid. It's just stuff is always readily available for you.
They're kind of just paying attention and listening and They're
like, this guy's sweating a lot. We should get waters for everybody.
Get him a water.
That guy looks hangry. Somebody get a Snickers stat.
We need a Snickers.
Yeah, they're ready. They notice when you need the snacks, you need the water, you need a Tylenol. They're also there to help snap some photos for you so that you don't have to spend all your time with your phone out taking pictures.
And they give them all to you on a file after you're done. So pictures you didn't even know were being taken of yourself are there. You with your friends or your family, whatever. You don't have to always be the one. I'm always the picture taking guy, so I'm never in pictures. It's always kind of nice to have that.
And every guide has a backpack full of whatever might happen along the way that you might need.
Yeah,
when
actual Band-Aid
stung by a mystery bee at Giverny. Stupid Monet's house bee.
Was that you? Did you get stung?
Yeah, I was taking a photo of a flower and there was no sign of any insect anywhere. And all of a sudden, it felt like I'd been stabbed with a white hot needle. It was some kind of wasp
I know what that feels
got
like.
me because
whatever got you was horrible. You could see the poison running through your veins.
Yeah, it was not fun, and it hurt worse than any bee sting or insect bite.
It's those angsty, angry bees.
French hornets. Yes.
Yeah.
And
one thing I love, it has to do with them meeting needs, is the second something goes wrong schedule-wise, like we were supposed to go, where was that in London? We were supposed
that
to go
was in London. We were going to be going to Westminster Abbey, and
yes.
Which is connected to the Houses of Parliament.
A terror attempt had been attempted there. It was thwarted, but they had the area all closed off. And before we even knew any of this had happened, they had completely rerouted our entire day. We never skipped a beat. We just went and did the one
St.
other
Paul's
thing we were going to do later,
instead.
and then switched to a different cathedral earlier or later in the day. It was just amazing. And if you're at somewhere like where they're so connected like that, they can call ahead, and if it's not quite time for you to enter the thing, they find another fun thing for you to do while you bide your time till they can get you connected to get you into the museum or show or whatever thing you're going to. So you're never standing around waiting.
Yeah. And so let's talk a second also while we're on the subject of that access, about the kind of access that Adventures by Disney gets to some of these places, because it's not like when you plan, if you go to, say, this is like Adventures by Disney is one of their favorite examples to use. But if you go to the Sistine Chapel,
the Vatican,
if you go to the Vatican and you want to see the Sistine Chapel, you're going to be typically herded through there with hundreds of other people
and
nonstop.
Not allowed to take photos.
That's right.
Not allowed to take photos in the Sistine Chapel unless you're there with Disney, which is kind of crazy.
That's right. At which point they take you there after hours or at the end of hours.
Sometimes they do before it opens. Sometimes they do after hours. Either way, you're there before it opens, and you have your own Swiss guard who's taking your group. And this is one of my favorite parts about the story of this specific excursion on the Italy trip, is that all the doors these buildings are so old, and the locks are still super old school, giant locks with the Swiss Guard has these sets of keys that the key is like a foot long, and they're unlocking every door, bringing your group in, and then locking it behind them. It's that exclusive, and you're in the Sistine Chapel with no one else. Right. And they let you lay on the floor and take pictures of the ceiling, and it's absolutely extraordinary and just crazy cool access. They let they always let a kid take one of the giant keys and unlock a door and stuff like that. It's just that kind of thing you can't get anywhere else.
In China, you get a private performance from the Hong Kong Opera, I believe it is. Go to Austria, and after the zoo in Vienna shuts down, they bring you out and you get dinner in the Emperor's Pavilion. Yeah, for just your group of, and there's no more than a few dozen people on this trip, right?
Yes, land adventures are capped at no more than 40 people.
Right.
Typically, there's around 30.
Yeah, they open up the zoo. Or how about you go on the Southern California trip, and what did you guys get to do backstage? Nobody else will ever do this unless you take this trip. Maybe with somebody green.
What's that?
Didn't you meet somebody green and Muppy?
Jim Henson Studios.
Yes, the Jim Henson Studios. And Kermit. I have a whole list of things we got to do on that one that you can't. Which one are you talking about?
There's Muppet Studios.
Kermit the Frog here. Yes.
Yeah.
Jim Henson Studio was unreal for me. Like the Muppets have been my number one jam since they premiered. I remember watching the premiere episode live on television. I lived in Hawaii. It was amazing. I fell completely in love with them. And so to get to go to Jim Henson Studios and see all these examples of some of the earlier Kermit designs and things, get to see him. I got to do hands-on with
puppetry.
Not Kermit. It was just some random Muppet they let me use.
It was one of the Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, it was a real character, but one of the Muppeteers taught me how to, attempted to teach me.
It's harder than it
looks. That is so hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is Jim Henson Studios isn't open to the public or any other tour company. Right. We also went to Walt Disney and Imagineering, which is so cool. So we've actually done that trip more than once, and it depends on what they're working on in some of the spots, how much you'll get to see. The first time we went, because they take you back where they're working on the miniatures of new rides. And the first time the first time we went, we saw them working with the maquettes and stuff. The second time we did this one, the whole area was behind black curtains. And Jeff has a fun story about how we figured out what was going on behind the curtains, how we accidentally figured out.
Around at a corner holding, you talking about that where the guy had the, because it's been there 3 times and things like that happen. But this guy literally just came out from behind a curtain, not realizing the tour was standing right there. And he's holding like about a quarter or a third of Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
In a tiny little, they have all these different scale models.
That was what was going on behind the black curtains, that they were kind of heavily hinting that.
Whoopsie, I'm fired.
One of the times we were there, they were working on some new rides for Shanghai or Japan.
It was the Beauty and the Beast ride and land there.
Was that for Tokyo Disneyland or
Tokyo?
I think it was.
One of the Asian parks has. I think it opened maybe a year after we were there that time. But it's one of the newer beauty rides. But they had a top down, like the roof, like if you took the roof off the ride, the entire ride, all the little things in the car, and they were looking at how you run. And because those designs had already been made public and everybody knew what it would look like, they weren't as secretive about that. So we got to look at it and ask questions. And
the other time there was something, they were working on a new parade. And there were miniatures of a new parade. And they take you into the sculpture room and so much cool stuff. And that's not open to the public. You can't just go in and see Walt Disney Imagineering. We get the Walt Disney Studios. You get access to that on that tour. It's called Southern California and Hollywood now, I think. It used to be called Backstage Magic. Yeah. That one is a fantastic one because it's all their own stuff, right? So you get access to some really neat things on that trip.
And they can on the fly just decide, hey, we're here, come look at this thing. If people are available, or it's not going to give too much away.
We've been through Walt's apartment on that one. Sometimes you'll get a tour of Club 33 on that one. We did a 1901, which is the Club 33 location in Disney California Adventure. We got on that trip. Very cool stuff. But then they have stuff all over the world. A lot of domestic departures, which is how I saw a lot of the national parks out west for the first time.
See any red rocks?
So many red rocks. Yeah. Arizona, Utah trip that goes from Arizona and up. You see the Grand Canyon and Arches National Park, and just that was a very cool trip. Some really neat national park stuff that I'd kind of bucket list things. I felt like I got to see these before I die. And
Monument Valley on that one, because didn't you start in Sedona there for that?
Yeah, you start in Sedona at this beautiful resort called the Enchantment Resort, and I kind of wanted to stay there the entire time.
You guys
it was so wonderful. Although there were tarantulas on the sides of a couple of buildings, but that's Arizona,
right?
For ya.
And they do. I mean, there's a mix of, like we said, the active, more adventurous things. You're always in really nice hotels.
Yes,
many meals are included, and they're always
almost
really
all
nice
the meals are included.
Sometimes there's a lunch here or there that's not.
Yeah. Sometimes they say go out and explore on your own, but I just wanted to hit some of the other things on itineraries around the world that you can do. If you go to Vietnam, you can go into the tunnels used by Viet Cong during the war, and they'll let the kids crawl around through the crawl spaces in the tunnels.
Oh, man.
in Japan, you can be down ringside in the sand while sumo wrestlers are doing their thing.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah. Isn't there some samurai stuff on the Japan?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
That's
Darn.
the old itinerary. Switzerland, there's some really cool go up into the mountains to a little like farmhouse and make goat cheese and stuff like that. Like we said, a lot of cooking stuff.
You make
France,
pasta
you make chocolate.
in Italy.
Yeah. A lot of those things sound boring and stupid on paper, especially to teens or 50-year-olds that have the mentality of a teen.
Like
but they're all being really fun. Biking, archery. I still wouldn't go back to archery, probably
But you had fun, and you were good at it.
I would have also had fun doing anything else.
Well,
but there's a lot of variety is the point.
Yeah. Go to Buenos Aires, and there's a lot of cultural visit these beautiful old libraries, learn how to cook, visit a working ranch. Yeah. So yeah, there's all kinds of different activities that you can do,
and especially on the river cruises. Every stop, there are typically several things, and you get to pick.
Or sometimes a morning, then an afternoon. Mm-hmm. You can do one or the other, or neither, or both. So they make that, and then often you choose. Like the Straits all went off kayaking while I did not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And often there's an option with the river cruises to like do a morning activity if you want to eat lunch in the town, or you can go back to the ship and eat on the ship and then go back out for an afternoon activity.
Jeff and I took our families on a river cruise, and one day we all split up in different directions, and a couple of us were actually in Germany and a couple of us were in France. It was because of the way the Rhine sort of straddles countries that my kids always like to talk about that day. Like Dad and I were in Germany, and you and Owen were in France.
So let's talk real quick about the types of trips, because they have basically, I mean, there's a few others, but there's three main kinds of trips,
essentially,
right?
Yeah.
So they've got land adventures, which are like your traditional, what you think of when you think of a guided group tour. You go somewhere.
A lot of buses to places.
Buses, trains, planes, trains, automobiles.
Yes, all of those are taken care of, included in the booking of the trip. They handle all of your transfers. They even handle all of your luggage for you,
all
so you
your
never
luggage,
have to
that's
touch
magical.
it. Yeah, so that's nice, and the land adventures, and that's a lot of the ones that we've talked about the itineraries on already. Then there's also these are relatively newer and really popular, just kind of in travel in general, is the river cruise expeditions that they have.
River cruising, for whatever reason, for a lot of years used to kind of be an old person thing. Whether that was true or not, that was the impression of it. But Adventures by Disney really started getting more family oriented with some of this, because they work with AMA Waterways and have some rooms that are big enough to house families and some of that they never had on,
or at least are connected. Lots of options for larger families, which typically river cruises it's a 2-person room and that's it. And it's just how they've always been.
Yeah, it was like retired couple oriented.
It's been tricky. I'm not sure why it took so long for someone to get into the family space on that. It was really lacking for a very long time until Disney got into the category.
And it's an amazing concept. You've got this floating hotel, and every morning you wake up in a new fantastic city. So the river cruises that they do with Adventures by Disney they do a Rhine River cruise, Danube cruise, and they do one on the Seine also. And also they have kind of different themed ones on the Danube, and these are ones that look really cool. They do like one to visit Christmas markets. They do a Oktoberfest themed one. So, and those are
adult exclusive ones.
I'd love to see both of those. Those are owned by.
Yes. Yeah. They've got, cruise through Switzerland, France, and Germany on the Rhine. The Danube hits Germany, Austria, and Hungary. And then the Seine is the Seine.
The Seine is all in
places
France.
You think you've never heard of till you get there and realize what they are.
Right.
And also gets you to to Normandy for the Normandy D-Day stuff, landing beaches. A lot of
the World War II sites. And not only like, if you think, just my grandpa wants to hear about World War II, even if you're not a World War II buff or think you're not interested in all that, the places you go are stunningly beautiful.
Just beautiful.
Anyway, and then, of course, everything there that happened. But if you're not into all the details of that, you can wander around these beautiful areas and see some amazing stuff. And if you don't want to, don't learn about World War II, whatever.
Yeah, you're still in this beautiful French countryside, which is...
Yeah, the beaches around the whole Normandy area there are just incredible. We went to these quaint little beachside boardwalk town and all kinds of little... I had never heard of any of these places. They were all gorgeous.
And then the last main category that they have is the expedition cruises. And these are larger... Well, they're not big cruise ships, but they're bigger than a river cruise ship.
Yeah, it's kind of like a miniature ocean vessel.
Yeah, they're shaped like an ocean cruiser, but they're a little bit small.
Right. One of those goes to the Heather, we've talked more than once about going to Antarctica. They also
my new favorite place in the world.
They also have one that combines Antarctica plus Patagonia if you want even more variety in your penguins.
And that's the norm with that now. During COVID, they cut out a lot of the Patagonia from that trip because all of that, the Patagonia stuff is all land-based and you're interacting with the general public. Yeah.
Right. They have two separate itineraries now. So they have one that's just Arctic and one that's...
I believe the one that's just Antarctica is being phased out because it was specifically because of COVID. So gotcha. I think that one, the Patagonia stuff, I believe is going to always be. Although it's very different. Patagonia is so different from where you end up down in Antarctica, but you have to go there in order to get on your cruise ship. So they add, and it's a beautiful area, really cool place in the world. Mm-hmm. They also do Galapagos.
The Galapagos, yeah. I was looking at that.
On the expedition.
There's a short one to Buenos Aires. And these ones, especially the Galapagos, the Antarctic, they are definitely more outdoor active adventure expeditions compared to, say, the river cruises. But there is an option that's not as much, and it's a brand new itinerary that they do to the Adriatic.
This one looks killer.
This one's on my list of ones that I would like to do. So it starts and ends in Venice, and basically you go all down the coast of Croatia and into Montenegro.
Just beautiful places.
History, it's lots of really old ancient cities that are still in use.
Croatia is a hot, trendy spot in the world to visit right now, too.
A lot of food, a lot of locations from Game of Thrones.
What is that?
It's a TV show with a lot of incest in it, I understand.
Williams has never seen.
Any right-thinking person. Anyway, but that one offers you a good mix of, there is biking, but it's a leisurely bike through this UNESCO World Heritage Site that's filled with fields of lavender and vineyards. You can go kayaking, explore caves, but there's also a lot of, we go to this estate and explore the wine cavern that they have and stuff. So there's options for go be adventurous and active outdoors, or food and history and cool stuff in the old cities.
Yes. More food, more history, more wine.
Right.
That's my new motto for life.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. It sounds pretty good to me. We've covered a lot of the kinds of types of different excursions that you take part in with these trips. Should also say, like, typically there's a night on the excursion where the adventure guides pull all the junior adventurers off, and they have their own kids only dinner.
At
and then
least
they'll do
one night, sometimes more than one.
They'll do like movie night or some kind of fun kids activities, while the adults go and enjoy some really nice fine dining on their own, kids free atmosphere there. So that's nice.
Yeah, they do such a good job with allowing opportunities for that to happen.
Yeah. They typically also do a farewell dinner the last night where they have some kind of big, phenomenal kind of saying goodbye to your group kind of
often
activity.
In an exclusive kind of place.
Right. Like I don't think they do the Venice one anymore, but like you went to Venice and we're on a pirate ship and
that looks
had a big
really
fancy
cool.
dinner on there. Yeah.
We, on the England and Paris trip we did, our closing dinner was they closed down an entire restaurant for us. And it's a fairly well-known place that makes fancy macarons called La Durée. And they shut down the whole thing and we had dinner it was beautiful.
Yeah, the whole restaurant was ours. They had a guy playing accordion, going around and singing, and beautiful, and everybody got a beret and fun pictures and all that. But the food was amazing, and it was by this time you really just kind of have grown to love the people that you're traveling with, and it's always like the kids are sad to say goodbye, the adults are. It's really nice.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've heard a lot from people who go is that they really do make connections with the people on their trip. There's people who keep in touch, who plan to go on another adventure by Disney with people they met on their trip. So it's really kind of a special activity like that. Real quick, what's your favorite place that you've already visited on an Adventures by Disney trip?
I think everyone already knows what my answer is here.
Mine was London. I love the age and all the famous things you've seen in London. I got to see some Beatles stuff, some Sherlock Holmes stuff, and some James Bond stuff. That was fun. We did the favorite thing in the favorite place was in London on the Thames River. We did the speedboat thing. And when we first started off, you go up the river one way and look at all the sights and see Big Ben and all that stuff, the Ferris wheel and all that. And then they turn around and cruise back through. I was like, this isn't all that fun. Then they get out of the no wake zone and turn this thing on. And it was crazy. We were not touching the water.
They simulate like a James Bond speedboat chase.
Yes. So there were three of us in boats, or three boats of us on the one we did, and they would chase, and we were wake jumping.
It was crazy.
Awesome.
And they're blasting the James Bond theme.
Yeah, they did James Bond and the Avengers, Mission Impossible.
Was so fun.
It was really, really
that
fun.
Was a good
I would
one.
do that again if I were ever in London.
My second favorite one was probably either that or the Seine River cruise. I really loved that one too.
I loved that just for walking around beautiful.
That was why, yeah.
Unbelievably beautiful little towns. And that was when we actually blew off several of their itinerary excursions there, just on that one in general, just because where you are is so stunning. I was like, ooh, I just want to wander and look. And you can do that. It's no big deal.
Then those are places that you love visiting. If you've had a chance to kind of look at what they're currently offering, do you have anything that's on your list for what you would really like to try next?
I have two, Japan and Scotland.
Scotland looks really cool.
Not the Arctic.
Okay, that's three. I also, I do need to go to the top of the earth since I've gone to the bottom. I do want to do that one as well.
It'd be cool
and
if
the Adriatic. Honestly, I have a long list.
I mean, I'd go to any of them. For me, I think to spend the kind of money and these things are not cheap. They're amazing, but somewhere like Japan or China would be high on my list because I am not comfortable figuring out where I am and getting around and how to navigate just that whole trip in general, putting together my own itinerary. I want my hand held for those kinds of things.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I know myself better, well enough to know I'm not going to do that on my own. So I would want to do it with Adventures by Disney.
Right. So I was an overachiever and I picked an itinerary from each of the categories we talked about, plus a bonus. So for the expedition cruise, that Adriatic one sounds really, really cool.
So cool.
The Antarctic looks really cool, but there's just a little bit more variety of things to do in the Adriatic that appeal to me for the excursions that they do. And then for a river cruise, any of the Danube River cruises look really good, but we mentioned that they do a special Oktoberfest one. That's an adult only one, and they visit a lot of breweries, and they do a lot of special food and beer themed excursions that aren't on the normal itinerary. And then they also do one that's a Christmas market a Christmas markets expedition where you go during holiday season, and everywhere you stop, they take you to these famous, the old town square where they have the Christmas market set up outside, and just to see those kind of fairy tale places all in their holiday,
all done up in those beautiful lights. It looks so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I just love Christmas, anywho.
Yeah. Yeah. Who doesn't? I mean, who doesn't like Christmas? That's like not liking the Muppets.
Yeah. Yeah, like two places you have to see in your lifetime at Christmas time are New York City and Europe, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right. For a land adventure, I was looking through, and this is one that I've never seen anybody mention going on. It looks amazing. There's an itinerary that goes northern Italy and Switzerland. And so it's a really alpine based trip. And you start in Milan, you spend some time at Lake Como. And
I would love to see that.
Yeah, but then you cross over into Switzerland, you spend some time in the Alps, and end up in Lake Lucerne for a couple of days, where you have all these opportunities to go up into the mountains, do these really amazing sounding. Sorry, I have to find the itinerary tab, the tab for the itinerary, so I can find the excursion. You can go up to the top of. It's the highest peak in Switzerland in the Alps. And then you have an opportunity to spend the entire day doing slide down the slopes on the glacier, and take a zip line over crevasses, and just all this, go into an ice cave kind. Yeah.
I want to see your crevasses.
And then you go to Lake Lucerne, and you can go to a Swiss chocolate adventure. There's ropes course and zip lining, other places. You can go have real Swiss fondue.
Fondue.
At a fondue place. In Italy, there's a wine tasting on this island Italian cooking classes. So yeah, it looks really amazing. It's a really good mix of that adventure. And you go to the Matterhorn, right? It's just
cool.
I've written that a bunch of times.
Yeah. But then my bonus itinerary that I'd love to be able to try, but I can't for two reasons. One, it's insanely expensive. And two, it's sold out in a matter of minutes when they announced it. They're only doing it once this year, is the private jet adventure around the world.
Yes.
So this started, the price on this was $110,000 per person. It's 23-night adventure. You go to every single Disney park, as well as visiting the Taj Mahal, the pyramids of Giza, the Eiffel Tower. They take you to the Taj Mahal, and you have, before it opens up, a dawn photo shoot experience where you have the run of the place to take photos. This itinerary is insane. You go to Lucasfilm. You go to Skywalker Ranch. Skywalker Ranch is not a place where the general public is welcome. It is literally home, right?
That's his. Yeah.
Yeah.
George Lucas's estate.
Yeah. Yeah. So you sit down and drink his wine and eat his Wagyu beef. And,
wait, he raises his own Wagyu beef?
No, I think they purchase it like any other same person.
That would be cool. Somebody's out there massaging his cows.
I'll take that job. Sign me up.
What do you do for Lucasfilm?
I massage his cows.
Cattle masseuse.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah. So you start in Anaheim. You see Disneyland, a private fireworks viewing, go to the Disney Studios, pre-open access to Disneyland Park, including Sleeping Beauty Castle, VIP tour of Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. Then you go to the Walt Disney Family Museum, Lucasfilm Studios, stay at Skywalker Ranch for 2 days, including you get to do special sunrise yoga at Skywalker Ranch, go to an observatory, wine tasting. Then you fly to Tokyo. You stay at this the Tokyo Disneyland Hotel looks like this insane European. It's crazy. You go to Tokyo Disneyland or Tokyo Disney Sea. You go to both. I mean, it's insane.
You got to think they're going to do this 2 or 3 times.
It sold out so fast that I'm certain they're going to do it again. The ability to do this one opened up because of the acquisition of the Nat Geo product.
Yes.
And they have their own fleet
planes.
Of private jets. Yeah.
Right.
So they're using one of the Nat Geo planes for this one. And it was popular, and there was a long waiting list. There were a lot of people willing and able to put up the money for this one. So they'd be crazy not to do it again.
It's amazing. You get this, high level of access to all the Disney parks. Plus, you stop at these locations. Because when you're in Tokyo, when you're in Shanghai, you don't just go to the Disney parks. You also do Adventures by Disney activities in those cities.
Yep.
You stop in India. You go to Agra Fort. You go to the Taj Mahal. You're there for 2 days. Then you go to Cairo for a day. You go to the pyramids and the Sphinx. You go to Paris.
Sounds exhausting, but that would be amazing.
A day, there. You go to Orlando. One cool thing that's in Orlando that we talked about wanting to do before is you go to the Flavor Lab, which is like Imagineering for the restaurants.
Cool.
And you get to visit the Flavor Lab and the Tricircle D Ranch, which is where they keep all of the horses that they use for various things around the parks. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just, surely they'll have to do this again. And
I would think they could do it a couple of times a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody needs to sponsor us to report on what it's like.
I know, right? I have volunteered as tribute. I've made it known.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It's very sweet of you.
Wasn't it? It was very selfless. I'll give up 23 of my days to fly around the world.
Not many in the grand scheme of things. So that was new and very limited and exclusive for this year. There's also always new things every year, it seems like, or just about every year. They're tweaking itineraries, bringing out new ones. So we mentioned the Adriatic cruise is new. They have a new tour of the British Isles that hits pretty much everywhere in Great Britain. Let's see, Dublin, Belfast, Antrim Coast, the Giant's Causeway, Glasgow.
They have another
Edinburgh,
new one
London.
that is just Disneyland Paris Vacation.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be part of a Paris escape that you could do and add on to another trip or add it on to a Disney Cruise Line trip. And so many people really loved that Disneyland Paris part of it that now you can do a 6-night vacation. That's all Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
This Grand Europe one looks pretty epic. If you had a family that's never done any Europe, do England, France, and Italy. Bang all that out in one.
Yeah. That really kind of gets you everywhere you want to go in.
Yeah.
Western.
That would be good for my family. We've been to Europe. So here's the other 3 you'd want to go to.
Right. Also brand new is Sicily, 8 days in Sicily, which looks gorgeous.
I saw that one on here. That was interesting.
Sicily.
Yeah, that is a lot of Sicily, but apparently there's a lot to see there. So, you go literally all over the entire island. So,
I think any single one of these you'd love it.
Yeah. And it's another one of those things where you do it once and people come back for more. Once you get bitten by the Adventures by Disney bug, see that it's a pretty good way to travel the world.
This is just a little aside, but do y'all see, and maybe you know why, some of these itineraries, kids are more expensive. Some of them kids are less expensive than the adult price. Isn't that odd?
Maybe they're trying to discourage children.
Yeah.
Or maybe because of the kind of activities they have to plan extra kid activities.
Yeah, maybe so. They're never off by much. Generally speaking, I was noticing kids cost more. I was trying to figure out some never less.
Why 4?
extra activities for the kids or something.
Yeah, bet you right.
Who knows? But anyway, so that's Adventures by Disney. We think you should do it.
I think you should. I think I should, for that matter.
You probably should.
My son has decreed, for whatever reason, he wants to go to Greece. And I've been trying to figure out, do we do a land Greece or a expedition Greece or a cruise? Cruise Greece. It's everywhere.
Ew. Uncomfortable. Potentially rare anyway. I think that's perfect time for me to say thanks for hanging out with us again this week. If you're excited to explore the world with Adventures by Disney, Key to the World Travel has an Antarctic penguin colony full of expert travel planners who are ready to make your vacation dreams a reality. Head to www.keytotheworldtravel.com to get started with a no-obligation quote. Word of mouth is the best way to help us grow our show. If you have a friend or two who you think would appreciate our special brand of globe-trotting jackassery, tell them what makes our show so great and send them our way. You can find links to subscribe to the show on your favorite apps and all the latest updates at www.goldkeyadventures.com. Can't wait to hang out with you again next week, and we'll see you real soon.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you so much for listening.
To ask a question or share your travel story, you can reach us by smoke signal, carrier pigeon, or send an email to goldkeyadventurers@gmail.com. And make sure you follow the Gold Key Adventure Society on Facebook and Instagram. A huge thanks to our sponsor, Key to the World Travel. For all your travel planning needs, visit www.keytotheworldtravel.com for a free quote and help planning the trip of a lifetime. Tell them the Gold Key Adventurers sent you. That's www.keytotheworldtravel.com. Key to the World Travel, your key to a magical vacation. Thanks to Outer Vibe for the use of their song Hoka Hey for the intro and outro of our show. Find them on Facebook at The Outer Vibe or check out www.outervibe.com for tour dates, music, merch, and more. We'll see you next week for another meeting of the Gold Key Adventure Society. And until then, remember, life is short and the world is wide. So go have an adventure.